The Anti-Corruption Commission has instituted investigations into 6 cases arising from the 2017 report of the Financial Intelligence Center. Finance Minister Margaret Mwanakatwe has announced measures aimed at addressing the pace at which the country contracts debts, and government has declared the cholera outbreak, which claimed 114 lives and gobbled 162 million kwacha, officially over. Hello, with the news in detail, my name is Chitalu Chinsenge. The Anti-Corruption Commission says it is investigating a total of 6 cases arising from the 2017 report of the Financial Intelligence Center. In a statement obtained by Q News, ACC Public Relations Manager Timothy Mono says the cases are as a result of 4 reports received by the Commission from the FIC and involve several individuals and entities. Mr. Mono says the cases border on suspected corruption, abuse of office, possession of unexplained property, and irregularities in procurement of goods and services, money laundering and tax evasion. He says investigations into these cases are ongoing. Meanwhile, civil society organizations, among them Transparency International Zambia, TRZ, Alliance for Community Action, NGOCC, have presented the Financial Intelligence Center FIC Trends Report to State House. This follows President Edgar Lungu's claim through his spokesperson Amos Chanda that he has not received the report. ACA Executive Director Laura Miti tells Q News that the report submitted to State House, the head of state should now act upon it. And Economic and Equity Party President Chilufya Tayali has charged that it is irresponsible for President Edgar Lungu to deny knowing about the FIC report. Mr. Tayali says he doubts that the president did not know about the report.
I strongly doubt that President Edgar Lungu did not know about the 4.5 billion being reported by the Financial Intelligence as alleged by, as claimed by Amos Chanda. I strongly doubt that, because before that report is released to the public, what the FIC do is to disseminate, and to disseminate, it means to report to various institutions such as the ACC, DEC, and as well as the police, the Attorney General, the Ministry of Finance. So surely, I don't think the President would claim to have not received that report. Or if indeed he didn't receive the report, then there must be something wrong within the system, because as far as the financial intelligence operations are concerned, by the time they are coming to the public, it means they would have given the reports to all the institutions. And we strongly believe that FIC must have given that report to the relevant institutions of government. The only thing is that the president is trying to run away from his responsibility of acting on corrupt activities, as well as various financial crimes. He doesn't want to take responsibility on that, and therefore he's coming up with this excuse that he didn't know. We strongly believe he knows. I mean, let's take, for example, I mean, the Auditor General's report. Even the Auditor General's report, I mean, what we saw in the Financial Intelligence report is nothing new. It's the same thing that we receive in the Auditor General's report. And he doesn't act. Is he also going to claim that he does not receive the reports? He does receive the reports. He must.
Finance Minister Margaret Mwanakatwe has announced measures aimed at addressing the pace of debt contraction and the affordability of the debt. Mrs. Mwanakatwe says the measures include the indefinite postponement of the contraction of all pipeline debt until the debt is brought back to moderate risks of distress, cancelling some of the current contracted loans that are yet to be disbursed to reduce the debt service outlays, and undertaking refinancing on selected bilateral loans, both local and external, to extend the mature profile and a 10 lower costs on debt. She says other measures include carrying out an asset liability management exercise on the debt to ensure sustainability of cash flows, cease issuance of guarantees to commercially viable projects, and cease the issuance of letters of credit and guarantees to state-owned enterprises that are technically insolvent until their balance sheet challenges are resolved. And Mrs. Mwanakatwe says the current stock of domestic arrears amounting to 12.7 billion kwacha as at end December 2017 has adversely affected economic activity through elevated non-performing loans and subsequently contributed to reduce private sector financing. She has since announced measures to address this, which include enforcement of commitment controls by the Ministry of Finance to curb accumulation of new arrears. Other measures include the Secretary to the Cabinet ensuring that civil servants take annual leave to curtail expenditures related to personal emoluments such as commutation of days. Mrs. Mwanakatwe was speaking during a media briefing. Government has declared the 2017-2018 cholera outbreak that lasted 8 months and claimed 114 lives officially over, and a total of 162 million kwacha was spent to curb the cholera outbreak in the country. Minister of Health Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says the declaration is in line with the National Health Regulation that requires that a consecutive 14 days period pass without recording any new cholera cases. Dr. Chilufya says statutory instrument number 79 of 2017, issued under the Public Health Act, and number 10 of 2018 on street vending regulations, however, still remain in force. Speaking this at a joint media briefing with his counterparts for local government and Office of the Vice President, Vincent Mwale and Sylvia Chalikosa respectively, Dr. Chilufya says this is to ensure that gains posted in wiping the cholera outbreak are not reversed. Dr. Chilufya states that this is in order that government continues building on the medium and long-term interventions of eradicating cholera in Zambia.
Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to remind you all, therefore, that the statutory instruments number 79 of 2017, Public Health Act, and number 10 of 2018, Local Government on Street Vending and Nuisances Regulations 2018 are still in force. This is to ensure that we do not reverse the gains that we have posted, so that we continue building on the medium and long-term interventions, so that we no longer expose our people to these public health risks. I wish to reiterate that we should all be responsible and abide to the agreed standards and guidelines in line with the Public Health Act regarding how we manage markets, trading places, schools, and the ban on street vending. Allow me to make a clear call to action by all key stakeholders centered on community participation and engagement. Let us lead the way for the world to end cholera by 2030.
Zambia has been ranked 147 out of 175 countries in the world in the 2018 Save the Children End of Childhood report. Save the Children's second annual End of Childhood Index compares the latest data from 175 countries and assesses where the most and fewest children are missing out on childhood. Presenting the report in Lusaka, Save the Children Child Governance and Advocacy Technical Specialist Mary Chavola revealed that Zambia ranked highest on stunting rates among the 15 countries with the highest stunting rates. Ms. Chavola adds that Zambia is also among 9 countries with the highest rates of children leaving school to work, and also among 36 countries with very high child mortality.
75 that were sampled. Zambia is amongst the 15 countries with the highest rate of stunting, and you can see it from the report. Zambia also ranked among the 9 countries of the 175 countries with the highest children leaving schools. So the high rate of child labor, this is a source of concern. We might not see it, but what is driving the child labor? It's also linked back to poverty. What is forcing the children to leave school and go and work so that they help in the family or they help themselves in a way. So if you look at the statistics for Zambia, they're not very encouraging. I mean, it's good to look at the global picture, but when you get home to Zambia, if we're amongst 175 countries and we are amongst the 9 with the worst rates of child labor, then it's a source of concern. The other one, which is also, well, it's very high, it's high, but not very high, is the child mortality. We are amongst the 36 countries with the highest to mid, to very high, to high to very high rates. So the 136 countries which have very high and high rates of child mortality. So those are the key highlights for Zambia. We didn't, at least on education, we fared well. But if you look at those three, I think they are source of concern, especially stunting.
Meanwhile, Save the Children Zambia Acting Country Director Krista Croft disclosed that statistics of girls being married and bearing children before the age of 18 and 19 in Zambia currently stands at 60%. Mrs. Kraft has since called for increased investment in children.
It's the youth and the children of Zambia that will lead the country to a successful future, as we have envisioned in the Smart Zambia Transformation Agenda 2064 and the Sustainable Development Goals 2030. The government of Zambia is called upon to make special effort to ensure that these resources reach the most excluded children, the most marginalized, particularly girls and refugees. In Ntlenge, in Mantipala, in Maheba, in Moyuko-Igwa, there's a number of refugees in the country. They are not Zambian children, but they are children in Zambia. And we consider all children that live in Zambia our prime priority. The focus on public investment in children should be as outlined by the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, which means improved public investment in excluded children going hand in hand with the removal of cost barriers. Number 2, the government of Zambia is encouraged that all children have access to gender-sensitive, quality basic services such as education, health and nutrition, protection, social protection as well, which the government is upscaling quite a bit.
And Ministry of Youth, Sport and Child Development Permanent Secretary Joe Kapembwa reiterated government's commitment to ensuring that the welfare of children in the country is adequately looked into.
I wish to mention that children and young people play a very important role in our development agenda. And as a government, we are working tirelessly towards ensuring that all children are protected. This is because we believe that neglecting the rights of children puts the welfare of our country at risk. Therefore, it is of great importance that we address the various challenges being faced by our children, such as the need to improve health, shelter, nutrition, water and sanitation. Taking away these rights will take away a meaningful childhood. In addressing some of these challenges, government has embarked on the implementation of various programs, which include expansion of services through construction of health facilities, schools, seeking of boreholes, and strengthening social protection systems. I wish to take this opportunity that government has adopted a new approach to addressing these challenges that we encounter on a daily basis. This is working as one government through a cluster approach, which means that we're no longer working as one.
Veteran politician and former Southern Province Minister Daniel Munkombwe has died. Mr. Munkombwe died on the 15th of June around 9:40 hours in the Livingstone Central Hospital where he was admitted. Southern Province Minister Edify Hamukale has confirmed the death of Mr. Munkombwe, who had been battling lung cancer. He was at one point evacuated to South Africa for treatment by the government. Mr. Munkombwe served in almost all the governments from the time the country attained independence in 1964. His death comes just days after the country lost Gender Minister Victoria Kalima, who died on Monday, the 11th of June 2018. And Acting President Inonge Wina has conveyed her condolences to Mr. Munkombwe's family. Ms. Wina says Mr. Munkombwe will be remembered as a fearless freedom fighter, a lawmaker, a family man, but most importantly as a man who served in all governments with passion and ease, because for him Zambia was greater than an individual. She says Mr. Munkombwe for many years contributed greatly to the agriculture sector, especially in the area of livestock production. Ms. Wina says Mr. Munkombwe was dedicated to the country, displaying patriotism and enthusiasm and youthful energy. The acting president says the nation will sadly miss Mr. Munkombwe. This is contained in a statement issued to Q News by Permanent Secretary for Administration in the Office of the Vice President, Stephen Wansa. Meanwhile, the ruling Patriotic Front says it has learnt with great shock about the untimely passing of Mr. Munkombwe. In a statement, PF Secretary General Davis Mwila says Mr. Munkombwe meant different things to different people and sometimes in a very controversial mode, but that what cannot be taken away from him is the special place in the life of the nation pre- and post-independence Zambia. Mr. Mwila says Mr. Munkombwe spoke his mind irrespective who agreed with him or not, describing him as unique in his own way. It has been moaned that what he says appears to be the end of the era of those stalwarts who fought for Zambia's liberation from colonialism. The Parliamentary Committee on National Economy, Trade and Labour has called on the government to consider lifting the ban on the harvesting, transportation, trade and export of the Mukula tree species. Committee Chairperson Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwani says frequent bans on timber production have serious implications on the growth of small and medium entrepreneurs, SMEs, in the timber industry. Speaking when he moved a motion to urge Parliament to adopt a report of the Committee on National Economy, Trade and Labour Matters, Dr. Msokotwani said the government can manage to regulate the timber sector without necessarily imposing the timber ban. He has also recommended that all government agencies harmonize policies in order to create an enabling environment for them to conduct business in a conducive environment. He has noted with concern the policy inconsistencies between the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry and other government agencies, saying this is not good for the development of the country. Dr. Msokotwane is further concerned that while the price of copper on the international market is fairly good, the benefits are not accruing to the Zambian people.
So, in the timber industry, the tour revealed that the frequent bans on timber movement by the government have serious implications on the operations of MSMEs. The committee is of the view that the problems facing the sector can be mitigated without necessarily banning timber movements. In light of this, the committee strongly recommends that the government should completely stop the ban on timber movements to allow the industry to thrive and foster diversification. Lastly, but not the least, Mr. Speaker, allow me to express your committee's displeasure regarding the quality of responses coming from the executive.
Transport and Communications Minister Brian Mushimba has maintained that the cyber bills that he will be taking to Parliament are not meant to suffocate online space, contrary to the perception by some stakeholders. Mr. Mushimba tells QTV News that the premise for the proposed cyber laws is based on the abuse of the cyberspace by some individuals in the country. He has also contested a view that the government, through his ministry, has not consulted for accommodated stakeholders over the bills, saying a number of stakeholders such as Mr. Zambia chapter, panels among others have visited his office for clarification. The minister has explained that government has a bigger picture in the usage of ICTs, hence the need to have laws that define the boundaries of the cyberspace and avoid online bullying cases.
As a people, we are moving more into cyberspace, away from the physical being. In the physical being, we have very good regulations and laws that govern how you and me interact and what is reasonable and what is expected, beyond which the law comes in to say you are out of bounds. We're trying to do the same in the cyberspace. We need to make sure that we put regulations so that people do not abuse each other, people do not defraud people, people do not with impunity malign others, and many of those things that in the physical space we've managed, we need to make sure to manage in the cyberspace. When you talk about consultations, we have been consulting. I have people in my office almost every other day asking about these cyber laws. We have Panos coming to my office. We have Amisa Zambia coming to my office. Human Rights Commission coming to my office. Bloggers Association of Zambia coming to my office. All these other people that have also taken interest to come and understand the spirit of the laws. So when people say we're not consulting, this is the case that I say, and we suffer from this, many of us. If I am not consulted as Brian Mushimba,
the Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, has observed that Zambia needs more factories and not shopping malls that are mushrooming in the country. CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says his organization has noted with concern the increasing number of shopping malls dotted around the country, with the capital Lusaka alone boasting of not less than 7 major retail hubs, predominantly stocked with South African high-end products and services. Mr. Mwaipopo says Zambia now has 3 large shopping malls within a few miles of each other and another 3 along Kafue Road. He says what Zambia has been experiencing can be termed as a shopping mall mania, with millions of dollars in foreign capital pouring into retail property developments instead of the establishment and growing of local industries. He is of the considered view that this hyper-consumerism has the potential to derail Zambia from its current long-term development trajectory. Mr. Mwaipopo says the second problem with such retail-centered investment is the crowding out of manufacturing investment.
There is need to relook at this strategy if we are to create wins for our country, more especially for the local producers. There is need to ensure that the local producers are protected, especially when it comes to products and commodities or vegetables that can be grown locally. And we think that this country needs more of factories than shopping malls. There is need to come up with strategies that can ensure that resources that are available through certain institutions that have been funding the construction of shopping malls can also be availed to initiatives that can lead to the development of factories, because factories have got the potential to actually create sustainable jobs. They've got the potential to contribute hugely towards the poverty alleviation agenda compared to the construction of shopping malls. They are dotted around almost every corner of this country. They're actually displacing most of the local traders who have been trading in the selling of vegetables and fruits.
Finnish ambassador to Zambia, Timo O'Connor, has described as positive Zambia's response to the Third Human Rights Universal Periodic Review, UPR. Mr. O'Connor says he has particularly taken note of the responses by Minister of Justice Given Lubinda during the Human Rights Commission HRC UPR information dissemination meeting. In an interview with Q News, Mr. O'Connor says cooperation with the Human Rights Commission that government has hinted on in the implementation of UPR recommendation is also positive. He says it is important for the Zambian government to have a robust consultative process in following up the Universal Periodic Review recommendations it has accepted to implement. He notes that a robust consultative process was what was missing in the last round of the UPR in which the Zambian government participated. Mr. O'Connor says he is also pleased that the Zambian government has shown willingness to consult with respect the expansion of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, we heard a very, very positive speech by Honorable Lubinda, the Minister of Justice, about Zambia's response to the Universal Periodic Review on Human Rights, where Zambia agreed on 90% of the recommendations made under this UN process. So I think this was very positive, and we heard very positive remarks from the Minister about cooperating with human rights organizations, having a consultative process in order to follow up the recommendations of the UPR, and really having a kind of a consultative and robust follow-up process for its implementation. And I think that's tremendously important, because that was something that was lacking perhaps from the previous round on what really happened with those recommendations and how are they followed up. So I think this is a very positive thing. And also about his remarks on several other issues regarding the human rights. where he said that the government would be ready to consult and listen, including the issues concerning the bill of...
Mpulungu Member of Parliament Freedom Sikazwe says government has made steady progress towards the modernization of Mpulungu Harbour. The African Development Bank, AFDB, is this month expected to start disbursing funds towards the modernization of the harbour. Mr. Sikazwe, who is also Presidential Affairs Minister, tells QTV News that once completed, the project is envisaged to boost trade through improved water transport between Zambia and neighboring countries. He says the government has started buying off land from business owners and individuals near the harbour to pave way for its expansion.
The other big project that we are doing, we intend to do, is modernization of the Ngwenya market. That is a project that is under procurement, and we hope by end of August we will see the contractor on board. The issue of the Mpulungu Harbour is a complex issue. It's supposed to be done under the ADB. The project hasn't yet been concluded, though what the government has been doing, because the initiative is to expand the harbour. So expansion of the harbour entails that we need to acquire more land. So currently the government has engaged the owners of the properties around the harbour so that they can buy off the properties. The evaluation of the property has already been done, and we are hoping they can find the money to pay off the owners of the properties so that once the deal to expand the harbour is done, it will be easier, the contractor will be picked, and then expansion can take off.
Former Agriculture Deputy Minister Maxas Ngonga has advised the government against coming up with policies that might affect the growth of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, dealing in agro-products. Mr. Ngonga notes that the reverting of 40% of farmers to the conventional Farmer Input Support Program FISP will affect the growth of agro-dealers. He says these are important SMEs that can help the nation in job creation. Mr. Ngonga tells Q News that the e-voucher system is a good program that only requires perfect implementation.
Reversing to 40%, yes, it will answer the questions in those particular areas where the challenges still persist. But going forward, as the government, rectifies these particular challenges, nothing will beat the e-voucher system. In actual fact, in those particular areas where the government will reverse 40%, the cost structure of supporting the input distribution will be very high, will be higher than where the e-voucher system is working. The e-voucher system also ensures that agro-dealers or the private sector are in the forefront to try and ensure that they are not only empowered, but they are the ones that are promoting the agricultural production. Those areas where 40% is being reversed, that trend of promoting the agro-dealers or promoting the small entrepreneurs will get down. So we are hoping that as the systems come in place, the internet systems, the road networks, the e-voucher must then be able to be taken to those particular areas, because we know that the old system can never beat the e-voucher system.
Professional Insurance Corporation Zambia says it recorded gross written premiums in excess of 424 million kwacha in 2017. Speaking at a media briefing, Managing Director Moses Siame says that this represents 20% growth over and above the 353 million kwacha gross written premiums recorded in 2016. Mr. Siame says the company has targeted growth of about 471 million kwacha gross written premiums in the year 2018. He says Professional Insurance maintained its position as a leading general insurance company in Zambia in 2017 with a 24% market shares. And Mr. Siame says the enactment of the National Health Insurance Act not only has potential to help raise awareness on the importance of the insurance in the lives of Zambians, but will also help in increasing the penetration of the insurance sector in the country. He has, however, cautioned that the good things about the Act will only be realized if the implementation is very well executed.
I think it's going to become even more critical for colleagues, you colleagues from the media, to pay particular attention to issues of insurance. Because now there is this National Health Insurance Bill, which is an act now. It will require that you really keep the nation informed, you keep the people that are going to be affected by this act informed, and really raise that awareness around issues of insurance. I think you notice that the targeted premium for 2018, we are targeting something like, not something like, 471. That's what we are targeting to write in 2018. And our strategies around that, I'm not going to divulge a lot, but what we are also saying, like I said, is that we are going to refresh our claims function, because we believe actually that insurance is about claims. If we pay our claims, people will be happy and more people will actually insure with us. But I need to mention also that we've invested quite a lot in ICT, in technology, such that now we have what we call the client portal, broker portal, and stuff like that. So you don't have to get stuck in traffic in order to get to our offices, to any of our offices. You can actually, from the comfort of your home, your comfort of your office, get insurance online.
Veteran politician and journalist Sekota Wina has been bestowed with an honorary doctorate in Philosophy of Business Administration and Tourism by the Livingstone International University of Tourism Excellence in Business Management, Lowitbam. And Lowitbam University has commemorated its 5th graduation with a call on the graduating students to uphold standards, professionalism, and contribute significantly to the future socio-economic development of the country. Speaking during the graduation ceremony in Lusaka, University Chancellor Dr. Louise Domo said the knowledge attained should be used to make a positive contribution to society for the benefit of all, adding that investment in education is a foundation for knowledge and an integral part of development. He has placed the institution's commitment to significantly contribute to the achievement of the goals of the 7th National Development Plan and Vision 2030 through the proposed Lowitbam Center of Research, Development and Innovation.
You are all part of our vision. Without you, it will be difficult to achieve our goals, let alone the vision. We continue to count on your much valued and close to our heart loyalty. Finally, graduates, remember you are leaders in your own right. Leadership is about continuously evolving character and integrity. The process of becoming a leader is much the same as becoming an integrated human being. Leadership is a matter of how to be, not how to do. You have spent most of your lives mastering how to do things, but in the end, it is the quality, character, and integrity of individuals that defines the performance of great leaders.
And presenting the honorary doctorate to Mr. Wina, Lowitbam Vice Chancellor Professor Patrick Kalifungwa commended the freedom fighter for his various contributions to the political and socio-economic development of the country.
Being satisfied with the credentials and justification of the great honor being bestowed on Honorable Scott, do hereby admit him as the 4th honorary graduate of Lowitbam University at doctoral level and conferred with the doctorate of Philosophy of Business Administration. Congratulations, Dr. Williams.
As we end the news, a recap of the headlines. The Anti-Corruption Commission has instituted investigations into 6 cases arising from the 2017 report of the Financial Intelligence Center. Finance Minister Margaret Monakatwe has announced measures aimed at addressing the pace at which the country contracts debt, and government has declared the cholera outbreak, which claimed 114 lives and gobbled 162 million kwacha, officially over. Ends the news. Pleasant viewing and God bless.